And I rise like the day. I rise unafraid. I rise up.
Welcome back to Social Work Live with your favorite future social workers, ShaTerra Jones.
And I'm Leah Casey. And on this episode, we had the pleasure of sitting down with Ms. Johnson. She's a fellow social worker in the community. She started out at Stephen F. Austin with her BSW and also received her MSW from Stephen F. Austin. She's currently now working there as a social work teacher. She also is an advocate for the Houston Resource Center, which is an HIV and AIDS community-based agency that helps funding for local agencies to receive money from the government for HIV and AIDS awareness in our community. So, another question that we asked her is, what type of social work did she practice? She explained to us that she worked on a macro scale with this agency, and she wrote grants for the local agencies and also making sure that they use these government funds in the right way, as far as making sure that the recipients had proper housing and proper health care to combat HIV and AIDS.
Another question that we asked Ms. Johnson were ethical dilemmas that she faced in her field of practice. And one of those dilemmas is confidentiality. We have a misconception that when a person contracts HIV that, by law, the partners are to be notified, and that's just not true when it comes from the standpoint of being that, client social worker. By law, well, that's a HIPAA law for one. And two, that would be a violation of that law if she were to inform those partners of the client's HIV status. So married or not, as a social worker, she cannot disclose that information. That's something that she comes across quite frequently in her practice.
And another question that we asked her in regards to making ethical decisions in her career, we asked her, could she share with us an example of a difficult situation she came across that she faced, and how did she handle that ethical decision? Well, she shared the experience with us of a 11-year-old girl who came to her for testing. She tested positive for HIV. She also tested positive for other STDs, and she was also pregnant. So as Ms. Johnson, the caseworker, she had to let the young girl know of her status, but she also had to let the parents know by law, since the young girl was a minor. But the young girl did not want her parents to know, and of course you want to stick to the confidentiality agreement between you and your client, but also you have to do what's in the best interest of your client and also her family. And her being a minor, the caseworker, Ms. Johnson, had to let her parents know so this young girl can receive the proper health care for herself and for her child.
Right.
So that was a tough ethical decision that she had to make sure that she did the right thing, not only for her client, but also for the future child and also for the parents. So she told the parents.
Right, and it makes you wonder, because we could just as easily be put in that predicament.
Right.
And as a parent, you will want to know, but as a social worker, you want to protect your client. So I think it will be just as difficult of a decision to make for me as it was for Ms. Johnson. I can only imagine, how she decided which outweighed which, Another question that we had from Ms. Johnson was, as far as social and economic justices, how did she feel that her field of practice contributed to that? And the biggest concern that we have, the biggest issue that we have with America today is health care. And she stated to me that because many Americans don't have insurance, and because she applies for state and federal grants, that funding only treats clients with HIV. So within her agency, they're a big advocate, and they encourage health care, not just for HIV, but for many of the health issues that we have today: dialysis, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It's countless. So what they do a lot is, the Affordable Care Act with the Obama administration, when that became into effect, she was advocating for everybody to go out and get it. Take care of yourself first. So that's what she found herself doing a lot as far as social and economic justices goes.
And as we all know, HIV and AIDS is a global issue. It's a global social injustice that not only takes place here in America, but worldwide. So I asked Ms. Justin, how do you see this global issue of HIV and AIDS? How do you feel like you're impacting the world and with the work that you do? And what she told me was something that was pretty much profound, that if we were all able to give a helping hand to another country in helping to minimize the HIV or end the HIV and AIDS epidemic, then we're also solving that problem on a global issue. So what we have a program here that was put in place by the Bush administration, which the funds that we receive here and the tax dollars that we pay here are put into a fund that is for global use to combat HIV and AIDS. So if we're able to fight HIV and AIDS here with our money and also globally, that helps minimize the impact of HIV and AIDS, and hopefully we'll be able to get closer to ending the HIV and AIDS epidemic. So that was something that was new to me, knowing, and I wish I appreciate knowing that my tax dollars isn't just helping to fight a social injustice here,
right,
but it's also helping to fight a global social injustice, which is HIV and AIDS, which everyone is affected by.
Right. And I think that just goes into social work, period, because anything that comes to do with social injustice or social rights, it's not just America. Some other country it's impacting in some other way. And I think that comes with, in growing as a social worker, not looking at things from a national, standpoint, but looking at it globally,
right? Not just locally, what's surrounded by me,
right? But globally, because it's a global issue.
So a bonus question that we asked Ms. Johnson was, with the heavy workload, because social workers is going to be heavy workload across the board.
Right.
Everyone has so much work to do with all these social injustices that we are trying to fight. How do you take care of yourself? What do you do for self-care? And one thing that she said that she loved to do was take 1 hour out of her day just for herself. And with that hour, she either exercised, meditated, took walks, and just, disconnect from the world, no work, no phone. She just took time to focus on herself. Also, she said she took advantage of her PTO. She took trips with her family, took trips with her husband. She just did anything she could to de-stress in order for her not to be burned out by her caseload. And I think that's something important for all of us to implement in our career, making sure that we take care of ourselves first in order for us to take care of the community,
right,
in order for us to take care of the state, in order for us to take care of the country and the world. We also have to take care of ourselves first in order to give proper care to those that are in need.
Right, and I realized that no matter what agency, what field, what part of case management the social work was coming from, they always emphasize self-care.
Right.
So I think as future social workers, that's something that we should, take heed to. Moving forward, I asked Ms. Johnson if she had any advice for us as future social workers, and she said to find your niche. Find out what it is that you want to do, find out your population, and stick to that. Coming into the social work profession, the social work program, we want to help the world. We want to help the child, the mom, the person that's abusing drugs. We want to, help everyone, the veterans, but we need to find a certain population and just stick to that. I think that'll help your client, and it'll help you be more proficient as a social worker.
Yeah, and it's good to know a little bit about all areas of social work, but you want to make sure that you have a general, not a general, but something that your niche, like something that you are passionate about, one area of social work that you can go hard in and make sure that you're very efficient in that area. So that's something that I think it's some advice that's beneficial for all of us.
Right. And as far, just to add a little something to that, because I may be, working as a social worker with veterans, and she could be helping the homeless, I may not be able to help the homeless, but I know who could help them, and I would know who to send them to.
Networking.
Right. So you want to network, but stick to what you're good at, because I couldn't help the homeless as well as she could, and she probably, and vice versa. So just find what you want, what you would like to do, and just stick to it. So I think that wraps up everything for Social Work Live today. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, remember to go into the world go into the world and do well, but more importantly, go into the world and do good things.
Thanks for joining us, y'all. Have a good day.
All we need is hope, and for that we have each enough that we have it